Ultimately, I'm not trying to be good in my own works because I know that I can't. I know that I'll always fall short of the standard.
Okay.
Therefore, all I'm doing is just trying to just love God with everything that I do and really just delight in who he is, what he's done on the cross and died for me. He's done the work by dying on the cross and taking on the sin that is rightfully would be mine, and I should be judged for my sin rightfully. You know, a fair judge. It doesn't matter how loving the judge is. The judge has to also be a righteous, just judge, and against perfection, my sin is flawed, and I deserve the punishment for that, right? Because Christ has done that, there's nothing good that I can do. He's already done it. All I have to do is trust that he's already done it, trust the things that he said about himself, die to myself, and as a result of me trusting those things and believing what he said in the Bible, naturally I'm going to do good things, and the fruits of my character are going to reflect more and more Christ and Christ's behavior because that's the standard that I'm following. But I'm not doing it because I'm trying to win or attain any moral goodness, because I know that I'm always still flawed. The only thing I've contributed towards my salvation is my sin. I can't do anything. It's quite a big distinguisher between Christianity and every other world religion. Is every other world religion is works based and man running to God. Christianity is the acknowledgement that nothing we can do can run to God. God's done the work, and we have to do is trust in that, because God is perfect. It's like if you imagine an analogy of pretty much every world religion, or to be honest, a lot of Christians as well. And I have to be sensitive that I don't want to badmouth anything, but the state of the church in 2023 is also very progressive and very damaged, right? And that's where I've also, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I was in that and I wasn't aware of these things, and now I've come to really understand things for what they are. And in Christianity, there's this idea that, say if you're drowning and you're kind of swimming on the surface of the sea, and God reaches down his hand to save you from your drowning. In other religions, you can in your own strength reach up your hand and grab onto that. And some Christians believe that through free will we can also do that. I believe we're dead at the bottom of the sea. We are sinners. We are at the bottom of the sea. We can't respond to that. God does the work, and therefore he's chosen me, and I'm grateful for that. And I'm going to, in response to the thing that he's done, live faithfully and according to the word and prayerfully. But it's an acknowledgement that nothing I can do is ever good enough for him, because my good enough is still flawed. It's not perfect. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so to me, that's logical as well as being deeply emotionally true.
So how has he chose you and not me? How do I get chosen?
It's God's will. So I would.
I'm curious. I'm not being a prick, as in I'm genuinely.
Well, we can get into theology because this is a contentious point within Christianity. Ultimately, if God's sovereign, if he has perfect understanding of everything, and he's existing across time, ultimately everything is his will. It can't not be. He can't want something that doesn't happen, if that makes sense. Everything is his control ultimately. Therefore, I think ultimately he will reveal himself to you through people, through experience, through word, and ultimately, from your perspective, you're going to choose or not. From your perspective, you're going to go through life and get to a stage, or God's going to really show up and move your heart. But ultimately, it is God that moves the heart. You can't choose to. And that's what I've felt, where in my own stupidness, I would never have chosen to do what I've done in the last few months, because I want to cling on to the identity of Zach and living for myself and building a personal brand and gaining material success and doing all those things. Ultimately, there's some level of altruism in there. Like I would have liked to say I was a good person, giving and serving people.
Why can't they both coexist? Why can't you be Zach, build your personal brand, make loads of money, and still believe in God? Why are you giving one up to have the other? I'm just curious.
I think you can, but again,
because
rather
most
than
of the church is flipping loaded.
Looking from the consequential perspective, if my heart's not postured in the right place, I shouldn't be doing those things. And so if there's an element of pride in what I'm doing, I really need to check my heart before I do it, if that makes sense. So I'm still doing the podcast. I'm still wanting to grow some sense of presence.
Is that not doing stuff to be more favourable to God? Are you not doing the exact thing that you said Christianity doesn't do? but you're changing. You're doing things to be more favourable to God. You're not doing the things you want to do.
I've
you're doing the
acknowledged
things He wants you to do.
I've acknowledged that there's nothing I can do to be more favourable to God, but I'm naturally going to do things which are more favourable to Him because I love Him.
I mean,
I want to worship Him. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
it's like the
yeah.
chicken or egg thing. It's like the roots and then what the fruit that is born out of that, as opposed to thinking that the fruit is going to make me better or worse in the eyes of God.